Okay, I have to say this, Resident Evil Requiem runs way better on the Steam Deck than I originally expected. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the settings and I'm going to try and give you a recommendation for the best ones to run on your deck. After testing the opening sections, Leon combat areas, indoor scenes, outdoor segments, I was honestly preparing for a disaster, and you're not going to get too much out of it, but we can still change a lot of settings, and that's where things get interesting. So the game behaves really well indoors. We're talking mid 40s, even pushing higher in lighter areas, above 60 FPS even in some areas. The only time you really see pressure is during the Leon combat sequences, the outdoor areas, and when there are multiple enemies on screen. And even then, it's not really collapsing, it just needs to be tuned properly, and that's really the key. We go to options, and then we can go to graphics, and here you don't need to change pretty much anything, but in image we're gonna make some changes. So we're gonna turn off motion blur, and hair strands. This is really cool. Unfortunately, it's a lot heavy on the processing, so we're gonna have to turn this off. So all of these, we're going to leave this to the lowest, and we're going to go to advanced settings. And here texture quality, we have to keep them on low. I know it sounds aggressive, but on the deck, this prevents VRAM saturation and removes those longer traversal stutters. And honestly, it still looks pretty good. Texture filter quality, we can set this to high NISO X16. This is going to have a small performance hit, but it will be a lot in terms of visual improvement. Mesh quality, we're going to have to leave that at low. Screen space reflections, this is something that we can turn on. It will improve the visual fidelity a lot. It is a small performance hit, but we can take it. For subsurface scattering, going to leave this on off. Lens distortion off. Depth of field, you can turn this on, but it will be an issue when it comes to aiming. So we're going to have to turn that off. By default, it's going to be FSR 1, and when you choose to switch to FSR 3, the game might crash. So what you need to do is you need to change the Proton layer. I'm currently using Proton GE 1015, but you can also just use Proton 10 0-4, that should work as well. So when you change to Proton 10.4, you can then select FSR 3.1.5 without it crashing, and we're going to set that to balanced frame generation. We're going to keep that off. We are going to attempt to see how it looks with lossless scaling later on. Particle lighting off. Volumetric fog, you can set that to low instead of lowest. Lens dirt, this is something that's more of a preference. It doesn't have that big of an impact. You can probably leave it on if you want. Lens flare, that's pretty much the same. It will have very slight impact. For shadow quality, we're gonna have to leave that on low. It's much better on normal, but the processing load is a lot, so we're gonna have to leave that on low. Contact shadows, we can turn this on. It will be a lot better looking. Ambient occlusion, we can set this to low instead of lowest. More than that, it starts to look a lot better, but it will be very heavy in terms of performance. So we're going to have that to low. Between off and low, it's still pretty good. It gives a lot of texture to the scene. VFX quality, leave that on low. So that's going to be it for the settings, or you can either play this with variable refresh rate, or you can manually limit the FPS here from the Steam Deck menu. For the purpose of this video and the capture card, it's going to be uncapped. So in terms of battery life, the game will last for about 2 hours and 30 minutes on the OLED, which is pretty standard for modern games. However, as you can see, currently we're outside, and with the selected settings, we're looking at around between 40 and 45 FPS. Of course, not much is happening right now on screen, except that there are a lot of NPCs going in my way, but it will try and stay at around 40 FPS. Now, you can see the FSR shimmer, especially in the hair. It doesn't look great. However, on the Steam Deck small screen, it's pretty manageable. In fact, I don't mind it at all. Unfortunately, we don't have any other option when it comes to upscaling. We can only use FSR. We can't really use XCSS or DOSS or something like that. Later on, I'm going to try to force FSR 4, but we'll see how that goes. So as you can see here in the distance, we can really see the shimmering effect that FSR has, especially on that fence over there. And on the cables, you're really going to notice it move around a lot. If that's something that doesn't bother you, then you're going to have a pretty good time with this. So it's really the small details that pop up here with FSR. If you cap this to 40 FPS, you're looking at a battery life of close to 3 hours on the OLED. And you can see the game still looks amazing. All the shadows look pretty good. We even have shadows from the flashlight. I'm really surprised at how good this looks and how good this runs. After getting a lot of slop games made with Unreal Engine 5, this is really a breath of fresh air on how good it looks and how good it runs, especially on a lower end device. So for one of the first action scenes, we're still not dropping a ton of FPS. So this next section is with Leon, and it's during nighttime outside. It's a lot more demanding, so we get to see how that looks like as well with these settings. And we're pretty much gonna be staying at around 35-40 FPS most of the time here in this scene. At the beginning it will be 60, but it will quickly drop, especially during combat. But as you can see, the reflections here on the ground and the lens flare that we're getting, it still looks pretty good on the deck screen. If you cap this to 40 FPS, it will be a lot more stable experience. Here in this scene, it will drop a lot because there's a lot of people running around. Even during combat, we're staying pretty much above 40 most of the time. There will be some dips, but it's looking pretty good. Now this is the big gun here. Now let's try and see what lossless scaling looks like. I'm gonna go into handheld mode and I'm gonna try and force FSR 4 plus lossless scaling. So if you try to set it up with Decky plus lossless scaling, the game will crash out and it will give you an error. And the only way to fix that is to verify integrity of game files. So it will restart some of the files, it will download new files. So just don't mess with any of that right now. If you do want to do only lossless scaling, that is possible. And right now this is running with lossless scaling set to 2 times. And in the Leon section, we're getting between 70 and 90 FPS, more around 70 in combat. So if we cap that to 60, it will be pretty good experience. This game is a good candidate for lossless scaling because it naturally reaches at least around 40 FPS. So it just needs a little bit more to reach 60. And in terms of input lag, I can feel some of it, but it's really manageable. It's not that bad at all. So if you wanted to play at 60 FPS, lossless scaling is a good option for that. So that's gonna be it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it and found these settings helpful, consider leaving a like, subscribe for more Steam, Steam Deck, and general handhelds content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.